Welcome to my bold and beautiful today's show channel. I hope today fantastic for everyone. Please hit the subscribes button and give this video thumbs up. Ridge's shocking proposal to Taylor crushes Brooke. Ridge considers a dramatic proposal to Taylor to prove his commitment after Eric and Brooke's constant interference. Will this desperate move to silence critics break Brooke's heart beyond repair? Ridge shocks everyone with dramatic proposal to Taylor, crushing Brooke's hopes. Is Ridge about to make the ultimate commitment to silence his critics? In the never-ending saga of love, betrayal, and dramatic fashion shows that is The Bold and the Beautiful, a shocking new development might be on the horizon. And trust me, this one's a doozy. Ridge Forrester appears to be reaching his breaking point with the constant pressure from Brooke Logan and Eric Forrester to rekindle his romance with Brooke. Ridge reaches his breaking point with Brooke and Eric's meddling. The tension has been building for weeks now. Ridge has made it clear he's chosen Taylor Hayes over Brooke, but does anyone listen? Of course not. Eric keeps pushing for a Ridge-Brooke reunion like it's his personal mission, while Brooke refuses to accept that it's truly over. After that magical moment at the fashion show, Ridge insisted to Brooke it was just that, a moment. Nothing more. But Eric and Brooke won't back off, and Ridge is fed up. The Bold and the Beautiful B&B spoilers and speculation. Ridge's shocking proposal to Taylor crushes Brooke. Ridge considers a dramatic proposal to Taylor to prove his commitment after Eric and Brooke's constant interference. Will this desperate move to silence critics break Brooke's heart beyond repair? Published 24 hours ago on May 2, 2025 by Nancy Bannister. Ridge Taylor proposal Brooke. B&B spoilers. Ridge shocks everyone with dramatic proposal to Taylor, crushing Brooke's hopes. Is Ridge about to make the ultimate commitment to silence his critics? In the never-ending saga of love, betrayal, and dramatic fashion shows that is The Bold and the Beautiful, a shocking new development might be on the horizon. And trust me, this one's a doozy. Ridge Forrester appears to be reaching his breaking point with the constant pressure from Brooke Logan and Eric Forrester to rekindle his romance with Brooke. Ridge reaches his breaking point with Brooke and Eric's meddling. The tension has been building for weeks now. Ridge has made it clear he's chosen Taylor Hayes over Brooke, but does anyone listen? Of course not. Eric keeps pushing for a Ridge-Brooke reunion like it's his personal mission, while Brooke refuses to accept that it's truly over. After that magical moment at the fashion show, Ridge insisted to Brooke it was just that, a moment. Nothing more. But Eric and Brooke won't back off, and Ridge is fed up. Now here's where it gets interesting. Eric recently made a comment suggesting that Ridge's relationship with Taylor isn't serious because he hasn't formally committed to her. Big mistake, Eric. Huge. The desperate move that could change everything. When Ridge Forrester feels cornered, he doesn't just push back, he goes nuclear. We've seen this pattern before. When he's criticized or pressured, he tends to make grand, dramatic gestures to prove everyone wrong. So what's a fashion mogul with a complicated love life to do? Propose, of course. That's right. All signs point to Ridge deciding to pop the question to Taylor, not necessarily because he's 100% certain she's his destiny, but to make a statement. A big, flashy, diamond ring-sized statement aimed directly at silencing Eric and Brooke once and for all. Think about it. A proposal would effectively crush Brooke's hopes of a reconciliation. It would show Eric that he's serious about Taylor. And most importantly, it would prove to everyone that Ridge knows his own mind and won't be manipulated. Taylor's reaction could determine everything. If Ridge does get down on one knee, how will Taylor respond? She's no fool, this isn't her first rodeo with Ridge Forrester. Will she question his motives? Probably. Will she worry he's proposing for the wrong reasons? Absolutely. But in the end, will she say yes? Taylor has loved Ridge for decades. Despite all the heartbreak and disappointment, she's never fully gotten over him. Even if she suspects this proposal isn't entirely about his undying love for her, the temptation to finally become Mrs. Forrester again might be too strong to resist. History repeating. Past Ridge weddings and disasters. Let's not forget, this wouldn't be the first time Ridge and Taylor headed to the altar. Their previous weddings have been nothing short of dramatic. Remember when Brooke crashed their ceremony, announcing she was pregnant? Talk about a showstopper. And more recently, their wedding fell apart when Steffi Forrester revealed that Thomas had framed Brooke with that fake CPS call. The Ridge-Taylor-Brooke triangle has been playing out for decades. It's like a never-ending carousel of love, heartbreak, and wedding disasters. So even if Ridge does propose and Taylor says yes, history suggests they might not make it down the aisle without some major drama. Nick Marone's return could upend everything. Here's where things get really interesting. Nick Marone is set to return to Los Angeles in June. And according to reliable sources, Brooke will be at an absolute low point when he arrives. A Ridge proposal to Taylor would certainly explain why Brooke would be devastated, wouldn't it? But Nick's return adds another layer of complexity to this already twisted situation. If Brooke starts leaning on Nick for support, and maybe even rekindles their old flame, how will Ridge react? We all know how possessive Ridge can be. Even if he's chosen Taylor, seeing Brooke with another man, especially Nick, could send him into a jealous tailspin. Could we be looking at a July sweeps wedding for Ridge and Taylor, only for it to implode when Ridge realizes he can't stand seeing Brooke with someone else? It wouldn't be the first time Ridge left a woman at the altar because of his feelings for another. What this means for the future of Bold and Beautiful. If Ridge does propose to Taylor as a reaction to Eric and Brooke's pressure, it sets up months of dramatic storytelling. We could see wedding planning, family conflicts, and ultimately the question of whether Ridge and Taylor will actually make it to I Do this time. But let's be real, relationships built on spite rarely last in the soap world. If Ridge proposes to Taylor primarily to silence his critics rather than out of pure love, it's a recipe for disaster. And poor Taylor. Does she deserve to be someone's statement piece rather than their true love? After all she's been through, Taylor deserves a man who chooses her first, not as a reaction to someone else. Destiny denied. Or just delayed. Brooke has always believed she and Ridge are destined to be together. A Ridge-Taylor engagement would certainly seem to deny that destiny. But in the world of soaps, destiny has a way of reasserting itself, usually at the most dramatic moment possible. If Ridge and Taylor make it to the altar in July, I wouldn't be surprised if Ridge pulls a classic soap move and leaves her standing there when he realizes he can't go through with it. Especially if he's been watching Brooke move on with Nick. But then again, maybe this time Taylor will be the one to walk away, finally realizing she deserves more than being Ridge's second choice or his statement to the world. Either way, this potential proposal sets up explosive drama for the summer on The Bold and the Beautiful. And I, for one, can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Eric Forrester isn't respecting boundaries. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers seem to suggest that Eric Forrester is crossing a line that he shouldn't cross. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Eric Forrester isn't respecting boundaries. That's because his son Ridge Forrester's love life is none of his business. Yet, he's telling Brooke Logan to run after Ridge because he is the love of her life, despite the fact that Ridge decided that he wanted to be with his other ex, Taylor Hayes. But during the most recent episode of the show, Eric told his son flat out that he needs to leave his girlfriend to be with his destiny, which he thinks is Brooke. Does father really know best? As our fans can imagine, the internet had a lot to say about where this storyline is headed. Some have even said, Eric treats Ridge like a kid because Ridge acts like a kid. How many men live with their daddies? If it weren't for Eric, Ridge would live off of Doc Do Nothing or off of Brooke and her inventions. Another fan of the show wrote, Brooke also has children with his father, so I'm always confused why the love of his life is also the woman that was sleeping with his father and has kids by his father. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Eric Forrester needs to mind his own business. And then there was this comment as well, she chose to have those kids and marry him. Even if he left her, just plain decency would be not to sleep and marry her ex-husband's father. Brooke has always been selfish. Case in point, Hope conception. She was well aware that Deacon was married to Bridget. Brooke's ultimate revenge includes Thomas. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers suggest Brooke Logan is going to shock everyone with her next move. That's because she's going to get her ultimate revenge on her on-again, off-again husband and lover, Ridge Forrester. Brooke's ultimate revenge includes Thomas. There's only so much patience that the woman has for the man, especially since he's spent the last several years going back and forth between her and Taylor Hayes. But for Brooke, enough is enough. She's not going to be humiliated like this anymore. That's why the bold and the beautiful spoilers strongly predict that when Thomas Forrester comes back, and he will, she's going to make a beeline for him. As many B&B fans are aware of, Brooke and Thomas haven't always had the best relationship. In fact, Brooke blames Thomas for all the times that he caused her daughter Hope Logan so much pain. In fact, Brooke even blames Thomas for all of Hope's mental health woes. But this time around it's going to be a little different. That's because she's going to make Thomas her next romantic conquest. If Ridge can't see what is missing by not being with her, then he might open his eyes the moment that he sees his ex-wife canoodling with none other than his son. Brooke is going to play her cards right. Let's just say that this is going to be one of the most scandalous storylines that we've seen on the soap for many long years. And if Brooke plays her cards right, she is going to end up getting exactly what she wants. And who knows if that's going to be Ridge or even Thomas at this point. Of course, B&B fans will have to tune in each and every day to find out what will happen next. The Bold and the Beautiful airs weekdays on the CBS network. Check your local listings for times. In the meantime, drop us a line with your thoughts about this story in the comments section below. The world of The Bold and the Beautiful is no stranger to dramatic twists, passionate reunions, and heartbreaking betrayals, but Ridge Forrester's potential proposal to Taylor Hayes, driven not by love, but by defiance, may be one of the most explosive developments yet. This storyline is layered with emotional complexity, historical baggage, and the potential to reshape relationships across the canvas. As Ridge reaches his breaking point with Brooke Logan and Eric Forrester's relentless meddling, his desperate bid to prove his commitment to Taylor could have devastating consequences, particularly for Brooke, whose hopes of reuniting with her so-called destiny may be shattered beyond repair. The breaking point, Ridge's frustration boils over. For weeks, Ridge has been caught in a tug-of-war between Brooke and Taylor, with Eric Forrester aggressively pushing for a reunion between Ridge and Brooke. Despite Ridge's insistence that his moment with Brooke at the fashion show was just that, a fleeting spark, neither Brooke nor Eric has accepted his decision to stay with Taylor. Eric's latest jab, implying that Ridge's relationship with Taylor isn't serious because he hasn't formally committed, may have been the final straw. Ridge, never one to tolerate being manipulated, now seems poised to make a grand, impulsive gesture to silence his critics once and for all. Historically, Ridge reacts to pressure with dramatic, often self-sabotaging decisions. If he proposes to Taylor, it won't necessarily be because he's certain she's his forever love, it will be a statement. A proposal would serve as a nuclear option, forcing Brooke to accept that their romance is truly over while proving to Eric that he won't be controlled. But in the high-stakes world of B&B, grand gestures made out of spite rarely lead to lasting happiness. Taylor's dilemma, love or pride? If Ridge does propose, Taylor Hayes will face an agonizing choice. As a psychiatrist, she's perceptive enough to suspect that Ridge's motives aren't purely romantic. Yet, after decades of loving him, through multiple marriages, betrayals, and Brooke's constant presence, the temptation to finally secure her place as his wife again may override her doubts. Taylor has always been the more patient, self-sacrificing counterpart to Brooke's fiery persistence. But if she accepts Ridge's proposal knowing it's rooted in defiance rather than devotion, she risks repeating past mistakes. Their history is littered with failed weddings, interrupted by Brooke's pregnancy announcement, derailed by Steffi's revelations about Thomas' schemes, and overshadowed by Ridge's lingering feelings for Brooke. If Taylor says yes this time, will she truly be happy, or will she merely be setting herself up for another heartbreak? Brooke's heartbreak, a crushing blow. For Brooke, Ridge's proposal to Taylor would be a devastating rejection. Despite Ridge's repeated attempts to move on, Brooke has clung to the belief that they are soulmates, destined to find their way back to each other. A public engagement would force her to confront the painful reality that Ridge may never choose her again. Brooke's reaction could go one of two ways. She might finally accept defeat and step away, or she could double down in desperation. Given her history, the latter seems more likely. Brooke has never been one to surrender quietly, especially when it comes to Ridge. If she feels truly defeated, however, her emotional spiral could lead her into the arms of another man, potentially setting the stage for Nick Marone's return. Nick Marone's return, a wild card. Nick's impending comeback adds another layer of intrigue. If he arrives in Los Angeles just as Brooke is reeling from Ridge's engagement, she may seek solace in his arms. Nick has always been a stabilizing force for Brooke, offering her unconditional love when Ridge's indecisiveness left her shattered. A rekindled romance with Nick would not only give Brooke a much-needed confidence boost but could also trigger Ridge's jealousy. Ridge has a long history of wanting what he can't have. If he sees Brooke moving on with Nick, a man he's clashed with in the past, his engagement to Taylor could suddenly feel like a cage rather than a commitment. This dynamic could lead to explosive confrontations, with Ridge potentially questioning whether he's making the biggest mistake of his life. Eric's role, the meddling patriarch. Eric Forrester's interference has been a driving force behind Ridge's drastic actions. His refusal to respect Ridge's autonomy has pushed his son to the edge, and a proposal to Taylor would be Ridge's way of reclaiming control. But Eric's meddling raises deeper questions about his motivations. Does he genuinely believe Brooke is Ridge's destiny, or is he still harboring resentment over Ridge's past betrayals? Eric's insistence on a Ridge-Brooke reunion also ignores the messy history between them, including Brooke's marriage to Eric himself. Some fans argue that Eric's boundary crossing is hypocritical, given that Brooke once bore his child, a fact that complicates Ridge's relationship with her. If Ridge's proposal backfires, Eric may finally realize the damage his meddling has caused. The specter of Thomas, Brooke's ultimate revenge? In a shocking twist, spoilers suggest that Brooke may seek revenge on Ridge by pursuing Thomas Forrester. This would be a nuclear option, targeting Ridge's son, the man Brooke has long blamed for Hope's suffering. While this seems like an extreme and unlikely twist, B&B has never shied away from scandalous pairings. If Brooke were to seduce Thomas, it would be the ultimate power play, a way to hurt Ridge where it matters most. However, given Thomas's complicated history with the Logans, this storyline would require careful handling to avoid veering into sensationalism. Still, the mere possibility adds another layer of tension to an already volatile situation. The future. Will history repeat itself? If Ridge and Taylor do become engaged, the road to the altar will undoubtedly be rocky. Past B&B weddings have been interrupted by shocking reveals, last-minute confessions, and runaway brides or grooms. Given Ridge's track record, there's a strong chance he could leave Taylor at the altar if Brooke makes a dramatic plea, or if he simply realizes he's making a mistake. Alternatively, Taylor could be the one to walk away, finally recognizing that she deserves a love free from doubt. If she rejects Ridge's proposal, it would be a defining moment for her character, one that could lead to a new romance or even a rivalry with Brooke over another man.